Welcome back to Unlocking Success, the podcast where we explore the stories of those who have bet on themselves and transformed their lives under the Haus Group. I'm your host, Charlie Bannan, Managing Director here at Haus. Today's episode is about a journey that started under the spotlight of fashion's biggest runways, but has since found a new stage in Dubai real estate. From modeling for Versace in Milan to becoming one of the top earning brokers in Haus within just 2 years. Adrian Chabada's story is proof that success often comes from unexpected places. He didn't come to Dubai planning to sell homes, but in less than 2 years, Adrian went from leasing in Dubai Marina to generating north of 450,000 dirhams in gross commission within his first 3 months in sales. But beyond the numbers, this story is about reinvention, resilience, and a deep understanding of how an environment can truly shape who you are. Adrian, welcome to Unlocking Success.
Thank you, Charlie. It's great to be here.
Fashion, Versace, D&G, Armani, probably some others, to selling homes or renting homes at the beginning in Dubai real estate. It seems like such a big change. Was it a big change? How did it all come about?
100%. It was a huge change and a pivotal change in my life, moving into Dubai back in 2022. When I first moved here with no intention to sell real estate, with an intention to better my life and look for better opportunities that in Europe, there aren't many, right? So I saw Dubai as a place where I could make those opportunities to come true, to come into fruition.
So was you modeling in Europe and then moved into Dubai under the same management?
Yes, correct. I lived in London, between London and Los Angeles for about 5-6 years. And I moved to Dubai with the intention to continue my career, take advantage of obviously the tax environment and things like that, but at the same time to explore other opportunities. Didn't have real estate in mind back at the time, but obviously after coming here, you hear all the buzz about the real estate and you hear all the success stories, and that's why this thought sort of came through my mind, and I've made a decision to give it a shot.
So was that from speaking to people that you bumped into when you moved to Dubai that you thought, okay, real estate is a good opportunity?
Yeah, exactly. It was a combination of that, of speaking to people, seeing all the billboards you see on Sheikh Zayed Road. Yeah. And back in 2022, the city already had its buzz. It was looked at as a very progressive place, forward thinking, and I was lucky enough that I had my brother living here 7-8 years before me moving here. So we would come and visit him and his wife for many, many years. So I kind of knew how the city was. And I was sort of exposed to that good side, seeing what sort of opportunities and lifestyle they were exposed to. And I really liked that. I enjoyed every time we would visit them. And I said, I want to experience that and take it to the next level. So.
And what was it really like when you enter into the leasing team to begin with? Yeah. What was that like once you got here? Because it all sounds like a great idea, right? Yeah. Let's do that. Let's give it a shot. And then all of a sudden you're sitting there in training or on the sales floor. What was going through your head?
Yeah, for sure. There's an interesting story behind it, because it actually started with, well, I moved in as an NE expat. You're trying to get your life together as quickly as possible when moving to Dubai. So I would be still working as a model. I would be taking metro to work, and I came across a podcast. It was the Haus podcast, and I was very interested about the company, and I remembered quite vividly. This podcast was Luke, James, and Simon. They were discussing the pivotal moment of the company's. I think it was a change of the office. They opened a new office. I think the podcast was about that and how they risked a lot. They had a lot on the line during the pandemic, during the COVID times. Yeah. And I found that very inspiring. And that was sort of a pivotal moment for me to learn more about the company and ultimately apply. I applied twice. I was rejected for the first time, but funny enough, I applied by an accident for the second time, and it was through indeed.co.uk, through an English portal, right? And at the time, the recruiter got back to me and said, "Oh, okay, great, let's have an interview." And we had like a Zoom interview. Then I came here, met her, then met Tom Paulson at the second interview, and ultimately started in the leasing department under a great training with VJ at the time. Tom Paulson, leasing director at the time, great leader, and it was a great experience. It was probably the most positive experience. I look back, sort of came into the role without knowing anything. I was almost like a sponge. I would be able to learn, and I was very coachable and things like that. So I look back with a very positive impression on those.
Yes, sometimes I've seen that. Sometimes when people enter a new environment without much previous experience, you're more open to what you're being taught because you've got no preconceived ideas.
Yeah.
And it sounds like that was exactly the case.
That was exactly the case for me. And with the right approach to obviously the industry leaders like yourself or Tom at the time, it made a lot of impact on me very quickly. Yeah.
And then when you got into the role, when you start speaking to clients and stuff, because it's good that the training gives you confidence to go out and do the job.
Yeah.
Was there any specific moments or times where you was like, okay, fine, based on feedback or based on a client or based on something from outside of House and House's perspective that you thought, yeah, I'm actually meant to be doing this, like this is going to work?
Yeah, I think this was a pivotal moment for me, and I think it's for any broker starting in the role, is closing a first deal. Yeah. I remember my first viewing, I remember my first deal, I remember my first client, and I'm in touch with that client until today. We just spoke beginning of this week. I think that was the pivotal moment where once you get that first deal signed, that's when the initial resistance drops and like, oh, this is what it's about. And you see, obviously it's a client-oriented business, and part of my fulfillment comes from seeing clients happy, finding either a dream home or a great investment. And I think that was the point for me when I felt like, oh, this is great. Let's give it a shot.
And it all sounds really good so far.
Yeah.
It all sounds like it was absolutely fine and you had no challenges. But what were the biggest challenges for you professionally and personally, if you look back to being that new broker entering House and House and working in leasing?
Yeah, for sure. I think one of the biggest challenges was definitely finding my position within the team and finding my also position within the company. I'm a very competitive person by nature. I like to move pretty quickly. So for me, without any previous experience in sales, or I didn't really have a real job before joining the company, I started in leasing, and I found out very quickly, like, this is what I need to do to get where I want to get. And that was ultimately the sales floor.
Yeah.
To become a standalone agent and sell properties. That was ultimately the goal. In hindsight, looking back, I don't really see any challenges, because there was this element of passion for me that came through hard work and consistency that almost made the whole journey pleasant in a way. And I did really enjoy the whole process. And I think if anyone asks me today, should they join leasing or should they go straight to sales? My answer will always be, it is a fundamental decision for them to start in leasing. Yeah. The foundation that they are able to build from scratch, from start, it's crucial and it's profound in this business, and it's a foundation of the success. You look at yourself, myself, other crucial key.
Tom Paulson, Harrison,
exactly.
Adrian, Joy, so many examples.
Exactly. There's a clear pattern in it, and I would definitely agree with that. Yeah.
Do you think hearing you speak, because I don't disagree with you, but I do think that some people do struggle when they first come, whether it be professionally or personally. But I can speak to your work ethic and your commitment and your determination, because it just comes through you in the way you operate. Do you think that potentially you just saw the setbacks, or you saw the negatives in a different light to someone that maybe doesn't have that inner drive? Because for you, something that looks like an obstacle is more like a speed bump, whereas the same obstacle could present themselves in front of someone else and it could look like a huge brick wall that they've got to climb.
Yeah, 100%. And the way I really see it is, for me, getting into the role, getting into the job, I was like a blank canvas. I had no liabilities, had no partner, no dogs, no kids, nothing. It was just me. And willing to work, willing to give it a shot. So I think that's probably the most important difference between, if you compare myself into someone else, I had nothing to lose, only to gain. And it's a very powerful position to be in. And sometimes it's probably not the case anymore after 2 years being in a role. But sometimes I try to put myself back into that position. You have nothing to lose, or almost like you have nothing. And whatever there is in front of you, it's only for the gains. It's only for the benefit.
And it's everything.
Exactly.
It becomes everything again.
It's almost like, and you know this really well, it's almost like that stoic mindset, stoic way of thinking. I think this is very, very important for me.
I agree.
Yeah.
And so then you was doing leasing in Dubai Marina. How long was you in leasing for?
I was in leasing officially for about 2 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was quite lucky to have joined leasing at the time. And I was lucky to have picked up a few deals, about 8 or 9 deals within the first month and a half. That put me in a position where I was able then to get a promotion over to sales. Obviously,
you changed area.
I changed area. No, I stayed within the same area.
So you worked in marina leasing.
Yeah.
2-3 months into the role, moved to marina sales.
Yeah, 2 months into the role.
When did you shift to Dubai Creek sales?
That was July 24.
Okay. Fine.
Yeah. So I did a whole year in the marina.
Yeah.
And then, about 8-9 months in Creek.
Why did you shift?
Why did I shift? It's a great question. I'm a very analytical guy and I work based on fundamentals. And so before joining the company, before joining the marina team, I asked Tom Paulson to put me in a Creek team. But at the time, they put someone else in the Creek team, and I was assigned to work in the marina team. Yeah. So the Dubai Creek Harbor was always the community I was sort of convinced about, and I liked it. I wanted to live there ever since I moved to Dubai. So, and at the time, this was summer 24. The Dubai Creek Harbor team had some challenges. There were people in and out. It was actually quite underperforming. It was the lowest performing team for the past 12 trailing months, 24 and 23. And I just looked at transactions. I looked at the numbers. I looked at the volume that's being sort of created there in the community. It obviously is an Emaar master community with new developments, new buildings being handed over every year. So there's obviously lots of new business coming in, and will be for decades to come. The opportunity is there. And I put 2 and 2 together. And at the time, there were 2 guys in the team, Ryan and Kent, which are at the team until today. And I knew both from early days in leasing. Yeah. I knew how they work. We were friends. And I saw an opportunity. And I went to speak to Tom and slowly shifted onto the Creek team. Yeah.
And it worked out, right? Because
it did work out.
3 months you put in your pocket, I hope you don't mind me saying, just over 450,000 dirhams.
Yeah.
Over a 3-month period, which is staggering. You've risen quickly in arguably every role that you've had within House and House, through leasing, sales, seniority, changing communities. At times, from conversations that we've had, you've always had this feeling of, I want more. Now that's good drive, that's good ambition.
Yeah.
But I suppose there's sometimes some negative consequences of having that inside you as well. How's that been for you? Because I know that feeling has led to decisions like you had a little bit of time outside of House and House, and I think largely it stemmed from that feeling inside of you of, no, I want more. I think a word we used at the time was, I need to be quite aggressive on this. And I think it would be good to talk about how that's kind of come full circle and maybe any learning points from that, because I'm sure that there's lots of people that work in real estate generally, or even outside, that are maybe at points of their careers where they feel like there's more, or they feel like there's extra, but potentially there's just maybe more of a process that they're going through personally. So I don't know if you could open up a little bit around how you felt at that time and what led to the decisions that you made.
Yeah, for sure. And I think you said it right. There's a process in it. And the way I really see it is I was always running very fast. Like speed was the critical ingredient for me. Speed and volume combined was the combination what caused me to rise through the ranks fairly quickly, despite changing communities, changing areas, or changing departments. I was always able to get the ball rolling fairly quickly. Ultimately, in my opinion, I'm not afraid to admit that. It's probably from lack of experience, not being in the business, not being in a role for long enough to understand that. And I've made a decision to take a step back, leave the company for some time. The main reason was I was offered an opportunity by someone to come and join their business, which was not a real estate business. It was a former client of mine who is now a great friend. He's running a business, and he offered part of the company in exchange to manage and scale that company. We live in Dubai, and the opportunities are endless. And I was in a position where, 27 years old, I wanted to take that opportunity and see what it takes, see what it has. And I'm not sure if that answered your question or. Yeah,
it does. Look, I think you're right. I think a lot of opportunity presents itself when you're working in Dubai, generally speaking. But from our perspective, we meet so many clients, right? And there's potentially opportunities that always open up. And there's something quite strong around having a certain level of success in multiple ways when you're at House and House, but then still calling it a day and being like, look, there's another opportunity. I'm going to follow that. I'm going to resign my position at House, and I'm going to go for this new one. There's a lot of strength in that, but also at the same time, you've come full circle. So you're now back in House and House because it didn't quite work out for whatever reason. And I'm conscious that people out there might be given other opportunities, or they might feel the same at a bit of a crossroads. What lessons did you learn that you either wish you knew before making a decision, or that you're quite grateful that you went out and learned when it comes to life experience and exposure to different avenues?
100%. One of the most profound lessons for me was understanding the importance of the right environment, the right systems, and the right culture in order to leverage that for me to utilize my full potential. Yeah. And I think that's the reason why I've done fairly well within House and House, because the systems and the structure and the environment is tailored in a way to extract that potential of me. And that's the most important element to my success here. And stepping away from the company, stepping away from the role, made me realize that it's not everywhere where you're exposed to the amount of resources, the amount of infrastructure that this company provides. And for me personally, I was career, year and a half, just over a year and a half, I was able to leverage that to turn it into results, turn it into houses sold, revenue, things like that. That's probably the most important learning curve. And in hindsight, I don't regret that pivotal movement, because I wouldn't have learned that if I wouldn't have done that. I would always have that at the back of my mind. The opportunity was there, and I would never have experienced it. So I'm very, very grateful that I did, and also very quickly realized within the 3 to 4 months that the business I was in just wasn't for me. And the business where I'm in now, here in Haus will probably extract most of my potential, and I'll be able to leverage that to turn it into something valuable for myself and for the company and for the culture. Because ultimately, I was coming to the role here, I was coming to the company, as I said in the beginning, like a blank canvas. No skills, no knowledge about real estate. And it was the systems, the infrastructure, the people, the leadership that ultimately showed me the way and molded me into what I am today, into an agent I am today. So this is very important for anyone in a position of being in crossroads and trying to understand, trying to make that right decision, to understand where they are and what led them there, if they're in this company or if they're in any other company. Will they be able to leverage it in the same way somewhere else? I think this is the question that I would ask if I was in that position again. And right now, the answer to that would be very clear. But 4 or 5 months ago, that wasn't the case, unfortunately. But yeah, we're back here, and I'm very grateful.
Look, it's good to hear someone speak so honestly about it, because I know from having done this for so long that the grass isn't always green, or maybe the opportunity doesn't work out in the way that one expected. But also credit where credit's due. A lot of people struggle to make that step back because their ego stops them, or they just think, oh, maybe I'll get rejected, and they don't want to deal with that because it's not like an open door policy.
Yeah.
But you were confident enough again to be like, as you are now, I suppose, on quite a public platform, to speak around the lessons from that. And not everyone would make that phone call. That's what I'm trying to say. Not everyone would make the call to be like, hey, I want to come back, or can I explore coming back? What does that look like? Yeah. But you've done it. And we had quite a few chats about a month before, and then more aggressively towards the time you was coming back. So how hard was it to make that call? Did you try and make it 50 times and not make it? Or was it quite easy for you to be like, hey, what's the story? Can I come back?
It was pretty easy for me. At the time I spoke to, I have some great friends here, and it was pretty easy for me to make that phone call to you, because I rang you ultimately, and I knew exactly what I wanted. And as I've explained to you, I wanted to explore that opportunity. And I was in a position where I understood what do I need to do to, again, put myself in that position where I can leverage my potential and turn it into ultimately success, revenue, and houses sold, to regain that professional momentum. That's what it is about for me. Regaining that flow state, the hypnotic rhythm, I call it, to get that momentum going. And I thought at the time, the best decision was to speak to you and explore the opportunity to rejoin the company.
The level of, from the time you was leaving the business to the time you came back in that short, because it is a short period, a few months, the level of self-awareness that you gained in that time is, from my opinion, staggering. The difference in conversations that we had. In what ways did you change to truly grow?
Yeah, the difference is tremendous. Again, there was a bit of an ego involved in the conversation we were having a couple of months ago about my promotion and things like that. Self-awareness, 100%. Ultimately, me coming back, I came back as a wiser person, as a better broker, as a better person, with more experience ultimately, and able to one thing is to learn from that, because I don't want to look back and think of it, oh, it was a mistake. It was a turning point, but ultimately in hindsight, I wasn't looking at it at the time. It was an opportunity for me at the time. Mm-hmm. And I think I'm in a pretty powerful and pretty strong position now, because I was able to quickly realize that in about 3-4 months. Yes, I've lost my professional momentum, but that's fine. I'll be able to regain it within the next 3 months on probably even a scale, because now I have the experience of what I didn't have before.
Yeah.
Less distraction, more focus, less noise. And now, as you said, I understand the grass isn't greener. And what really matters in this job is the consistency and the compounding effect. What really makes wonders, really does wonders in this business. And I'm just planning to double down and triple down on that. And yeah, I feel like I don't regret anything, but at the same time, I'm quite hungry now, and I'm very happy to be given the opportunity to rejoin, and we'll make sure I do everything to prove.
You've kind of removed any obstacle of a plan B, because you tried the plan B, it didn't work out, so you're straight back into plan A.
Exactly.
And I think,
yeah.
I don't think that I don't think you've made any mistakes, because the level of self-growth that you've had over the last few months, and as I say, the change in how you speak, the change in where you come across, the change in how you see this market, how you see the opportunity, is a vast difference in a positive way compared to where it was when you left, and you was already doing really, really well. So it will be good to see. It will be good to see how it goes stage 2. Yeah. Being successful has a cost. Everything has a cost.
Yeah.
What's the price for the success that you've had to pay that you didn't realize was going to be a circumstance of you being good at what you do?
Right. That's a great question. And yeah, I've done pretty much nothing but work for the past 2 years, working every day, 10 to 12 hours, sometimes 14 hours. But there's an element of passion to it, and has always been. So looking back, there isn't many things that I would look back and say, it cost me this or it cost me that. No, quite the opposite. I do really enjoy the ride, and planning to continue on the same trajectory. And
so you sacrifice personal time, it sounds like, but you don't see it as a cost, because it's an investment into what you actually want to achieve.
I did sacrifice personal time and probably some social activities and things like that. But at the same time, I find a deep fulfillment in my work, in what I do, the way I connect with the client, and what we do with the team as well, what we've done with the team. And that obviously translates into results. So I find deep fulfillment in that. And yeah, looking back, I wouldn't necessarily say that there's anything that I lost in a way. Things that are important to me, like my relationships, I always keep up there in the priority list. Health and fitness, these are the fundamentals for me. I always keep them up there. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with how it all sort of evolved in the past 2 years, and planning to continue on that.
And looking forward, what can we expect to see from you? Are there any benchmarks that you set yourself to ascertain success versus not success?
Well, I don't want to put too much pressure on myself, even though it is a little bit healthy also for me to but at the same time, yeah, I'm planning to definitely elevate as a person, as a broker, be a bit more versatile, and tap into some other markets that I've not tapped into before, and yeah, continue on the same trajectory. Focus now is to keep the momentum, rebuild that professional momentum, and keep on that. That's probably the plan. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thanks, Adrian.
Thank you.
From fashion to real estate, Adrian Chabada's journey is one of reinvention, resilience, and the relentless pursuit of more. His story proves that success doesn't follow a straight line. It isn't about where you start, but how much you're willing to change, grow, and keep moving forward, even when the path isn't clear. Whether you're listening as someone at the very start of your career or someone at a crossroads unsure of the next move, I hope Adrian's journey reminds you that it's never too late to reinvent yourself and never too soon to take a bet on yourself. Thanks for tuning in to Unlocking Success. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and join us for the next story of grit, growth, and progression.